AskReddit bio. Oh, me too. What dark secret are you hiding from everyone? I witnessed my fiance's suicide last year. I moved states afterwards and started a new life. My co-workers, clients, and new friends call me the sunshine of whatever room I walk into, but I'm completely dead inside. Even though I choose to fake it, I resent them for not seeing how fucked up I am. Damn. I can't imagine being in your situation. I know you feel fucked up, but I hope you realize you're important too. Deleted. I am so sorry that happened to you. He's a piece of shit. Please get therapy. I have a secret fantasy life, populated with imaginary friends. It started in grade school, and I have continued all my life. I am in my 50s now, and still prefer to be alone in my imaginary world instead of being with family or friends. I can't even tell my psychiatrist because I am afraid he will lock me up or give me drugs to make it all stop. This sounds like maladaptive daydreaming. It's not dangerous or a sign of needing to be locked up. All the best to ya. Last Christmas Eileen, my sister and I don't have the same father and are technically half sisters. My sister's biological father tried to start a relationship with my mom that resulted in a pregnancy and ultimately didn't work out. That biological father is dead now, but I didn't probe any further about his identity or how he died in case it was something traumatic for my mom to remember. So she raised my sister as a single mother at my grandma's house in the 80s. Then she met my father and they started dating, and it worked out because they got married in the 90s, moved into a new house, and a short time after that I was born. She told me never call my sister my half sister and just pretend all of this doesn't matter because she's my sister and I'm keeping it that way. And if anyone asks about the 10-year age gap, I just tell them it's a long story. My sister is technically a half sister as well, but the way we grew up she is 100% my sister and neither of us ever uses the word half when referring to the other. When I was 16, I conspired with a heroin addict I met online to help me off myself with heroin and dump my body in a dumpster in exchange for my valuables. I lived in a small town and he was in a bigger city where my school had an upcoming trip. We planned for me to slip away during the trip and meet up with him to do the deed. He chickened out last minute and ghosted me. I don't think he chickened out. He probably never believed the plan was serious. I make up lies about what I do on the weekend. Usually I don't do much and I'm very content with that. Others are always asking me what I'm doing and I never had anything to tell them. I make up lies to get out of phone calls or plans, saying I'm out of town or with friends. I love just being left alone. I wish there was a way to explain this to people in a way that can be understood. My boyfriend always asks why I don't go out and do X, Y, or Z. He just doesn't understand that I really, truly am quite happy content just spending a day on the couch by myself. When I was a teenager, I worked at a novelty tourist shop near me. Being the idiot that I was, I stole a wad of cash from the store. It was $100 in ones. I told nobody, but they knew it was missing. Right about the same time, a coworker who was always trying to get me fired was telling someone she got about $100 in tips from her other job. They ended up firing her because they didn't trust that it wasn't her. Not super dark, but mine is also stealing from my employer. It was a seasonal job and they told people if you came back next season you'd get a raise. Next season I got a 50-cent per hour raise and mentioned it to a couple other people who had also returned, who it turned out didn't get a raise. They went and complained to the boss, who then took my raise back and gave them each 25-cent raises. I argued with the boss for a bit but eventually just decided I'd steal a few bucks per shift to make up the difference. 2 years ago one of my best friends and I went half-seas on a fuck ton of Xanax. On the 8th of June we both took Xanax from the batch we split. I woke up. He didn't. No one knows I had anything to do with the drugs that killed him. And I don't know if I can ever bring myself to tell someone. I know where my missing friend is. She ran away 2 years ago and her family is still looking for her. She texted me after the first year. She's in Los Angeles. It's heartbreaking hearing of so many people who were sexually assaulted as children and feeling like they have no option but to hide it, lest it cause irreparable rifts between friends, family, and other close ones. Just want to let all of you affected by this know that if you did go public, you are not the cause of any conflict, no matter how anybody else paints it. You were the victim of one of the most heinous things one human being can do to another. The source of conflict is all down to whoever perpetrated the violence against you, and the shame should not be yours to live with. This is a nice thing to say. I once brought up a past trauma and I had comments telling me I was irresponsible for not speaking up because what if the person who abused me had went on and abused other people because I didn't try to stop them? Fuck this website honestly. A man broke into my home about 10 years ago. Well, kind of. He knocked, I answered the door, and he pushed his way in. He spoke about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and tried to extort me for protection or he and his brothers of doom would come and kill me. He was huge. Ex-Navy, if he was to be believed. Drunk as hell, hand covered in blood holding a broken bottle. I was terrified. I told him to leave. He wouldn't. He was getting aggressive. I told him I would splatter his brains against the wall if he didn't. I didn't have a gun at the time. Anyway, he didn't leave. I went into my kitchen and grabbed a knife and sliced at him a few times. He staggered away, seemingly okay. I assumed he was alright, just wounded a bit. I never saw him again. A neighbor told me days later a man was found dead, some wounds on his arms. I can only guess he bled out, but I never go. I killed a man at least indirectly and have never told anybody. My PTSD isn't getting better. I have nightly nightmares of the industrial accident I was in. I see my coworker ripping his burnt face off every night. I no longer scream in my sleep because of it. I'm no longer terrified as much by it. Even though I know it's not my fault, I feel an enormous amount of guilt for what happened to him. Sometimes when I'm not sleeping I'll hear the scream he made in the distance and it'll make my blood feel like ice. Therapy hasn't done much. I want to echo EMDR. I'm a first responder and have seen many co-workers deal with the trauma and horror of the job. Everyone I know who has tried EMDR has told me it's life-changing. If it isn't a good fit, please don't stop trying to find something that is. Please continue to advocate for yourself. And know that you are experiencing a normal reaction to an abnormal event. Most people will never experience something that comes close to what you experienced, which can feel horribly isolating. Sending hugs to you. My grandma was in a car accident and broke her ankle, so she stayed at my house and my mom we took care of her while she recovered. I was entering puberty at the time and discovered that you could order porn on cable and was like a madman ordering porn. The bill that month came out to $500. My mom thought it was my grandma because her novelists were on like channel 50-60 and the porn was 500-600 MFAO. I've literally never told anyone to this day. Eater. I am Latina and sex porn for women is still pretty taboo in my culture, so that's why I'm so scared to tell anyone. Even if my mom and I are pretty open with each other, I'm still embarrassed. However, my grandma passed away in 2019 and I felt compelled to tell my secret. But my mom sees that story as a funny memory she has of my grandma that she likes to look back on and laugh about, so I DK if I should lol. Mayo mom, grandma's ordering porn again. I was molested on a cruise ship by an employee when I was 8. Happened about 30 years ago. Deleted. Not a huge secret in comparison to some of these answers, but I feel the guilt of it often. After my fiancé passed, I napped all the time for over a year. My aunt was calling me one day and I just denied her call, went back to napping. It was my aunt calling because my grandma, who was very sick with cancer, wanted to say happy birthday a day before my birthday. Grandma died the next day. I should have picked up the damn phone. She still loved you and just wants you to be happy. It's okay to not be okay, and sometimes we miss important things for that reason. In high school, I was a super good kid. Straight A student who loved homework, keeping out of trouble, and who was quiet as hell during class. So anyway, there was this guy who was also in AP classes with me, but he was super loud and obnoxious but would pull stunts in such a way that he would have some margin of plausible deniability. Though we never spoke, I'm not sure he even knew I existed. He rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe it was from the one cold day when this other girl in our class had her nipples poking through her shirt BC she forgot a sweater and he kept saying to her, "Damn, it's cold." Huh. Maybe it was from when he would pretend to be friends with kid who was definitely spectrum and desperate to be friends with him to do the bully's homework for him and then bully him the next day. IDK. So at random, sometimes once a week or a month or once every couple of months, I would whistle. It's this high-pitched whistle that sounds like a tea kettle that I can do while barely moving my mouth. Back then, no one knew I could do it except for my family. The super obnoxious kid always got in trouble. I was never once suspected. That's hilarious. I have a similar ability. I can make a chirping noise like a baby chick. When I was a kid, I was in church ostensibly singing in the choir but actually chirping to the music. My family downstairs knew it was me and were all doing that, trying not to laugh, but I'm almost ready to explode thing. Decades later, it's still a topic that comes up at family gatherings. My brother and I did a 23andMe. We discovered we have a half sibling, same father, who is older than us. I messaged them but no reply. Since the half sibling is older, it was during my father's military career, which was short-lived because he got a dishonorable discharge that he hides from his family still. Kind of similar story here. 6 years ago when I was 24, my mom randomly told me I have an older half sister that my dad completely abandoned. She only knew of my sister's mother's name, so I searched for her on Facebook and found my sister. She is the spitting image of our father, so I knew immediately it was true. Both my sister and her mom confirmed it, and my sister and I immediately started bonding. We are incredibly close now. My father's side was overjoyed when I found her, as they knew of her but never what happened to her. We've all welcomed her with open arms, except my father. When she reached out to him, he essentially told her to fuck off, then screamed at me that she wasn't my sister, and continues to call me the bitch that ruined the family. Her and I did 23andMe and we matched as half siblings, so now there's no denying it. I lost a shitty father but gained an incredible sibling that means 10x more to me. My grandpa was stationed in Okinawa, Japan during the Korean War, while in the Marines. He hooked up with a woman there, and she got pregnant. So, I have a Japanese aunt and a few cousins in Japan, whom I've never met before. Hank Hill? My wife and I aren't officially married. No one knows. We had a ceremony and everything, reception, the whole 9 yards. We just never did the official paperwork. We realize that since she's going back to school, it benefits her financially to go through financial aid as single rather than married. When she finishes up, we're going to head over to town hall and finish the last step. Lots of people do this, at least where I live, big college town. Financial aid is a big factor for people. And it definitely is better to be single. Doesn't actually mean you aren't married. Just that you found a way to show you love each other and that you are able to compromise with finances. Congratulations and hope you a long and happy relationship. I never have other plans that I just can't cancel. 4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity. 4:30, stare into the abyss. 5 o'clock, solve world hunger and tell no one. 5:30, jazzercise. 6:30, dinner with me, I can't cancel that again. 7 o'clock, wrestle with my self-loathing. I'm booked. Of course, if I bump the loathing to 9, I could still be done in time to lay in my bed, stare at the ceiling and slip slowly into madness. I owe the bank 100k. Hey bud, I think they know. I have never been happy truly, and 99% of times I just adjust with people forcibly and make them happy, mostly without thinking mine. My wife is handicapped and I lied to her that I find it hard to clean cut up mushrooms. She has self-esteem issues because I can do things much easily than her. So I lied, and now she feels better. You monster. I think I'm beginning to lose my mind. Lately I've been having trouble remembering things that I've known for years. Sometimes when people talk to me their words just don't make sense to me when everyone else seems to get it. I've become super paranoid. I'm having an extremely hard time concentrating, and I've been finding it more and more difficult to talk to people. I'm kind of scared. Edit. I'm only 26, never had COVID. Everyone here is throwing out big diagnoses, but you should talk to your doctor. It could be something as minor as thyroid issues. I get really bad brain fog when I'm not medicated or if my levels are on, like to the point where I feel like I've suddenly developed Alzheimer's. Hopefully you get it sorted out soon so you can start feeling better. Most people in my family think that my mother recently died suddenly from complications due to cancer, but she really died from the toxic effects of oxycodone, morphine, fentanyl and methamphetamine. Seems as though she just had herself a secret death party. Deleted. One of my closest co-workers, who is an integral part to our very large corporation, killed a man in his late teens and threw the body in a lake. He only got off on a technicality. I work remotely, so I don't build a lot of personal relationships with people I work with regularly. I googled his full name. It freaked me out at first, but I've kinda gotten over it. I wonder if anyone else knows. It happened 40 plus years ago. He will retire soon and then I might ask another co-worker about it. I just don't want to stir the pot. Did you know Bernie from accounting is a murderer? My cousin raped me when I was a kid and to this day I haven't told anyone about it. It's been probably around 25 years ago or so, which makes me feel like it's not worth addressing after so much time. I absolutely hated it when his mom asked me why I didn't invite him to my wedding. I still don't know how I should have responded to keep that a secret.